Hello, everyone. Welcome to another very exciting episode of Awaking Happiness, where we share stories and our discoveries as we awaken our own happiness. So, today, our topic, after so many technical issues and glitches, and oh, you don't even want to know about those. Today, our topic is about what we think. Do we believe that people do their best? Because very often we hear people criticizing others for being idiot, being stupid. How can you do this? How can you do that? I thought you were intelligent. That's the topic of the
More on that
previous
yesterday, yeah.
one. So, well, good morning, Chris.
Morning. Finally,
So,
finally.
yeah, today we're talking about our belief, our perception as humans about other humans. Do we believe that they are doing their best?
Do we think that people are doing it? Do you know where this came from?
Oh, sorry, there's the printer working now. There's going to be probably somebody coming to collect their printing job in a minute. All sorts of technical issues today.
So the reason why this question came about was because Brené Brown was talking about um, she went to do she went to do
I think we
a
need to pause a bit because the printer's out of paper.
well, can you put some paper in it or
Yeah, we'll need to go and put some paper in it.
okay? Well, anyway, you can still hear me. So the idea was that well, what happened was Benny Brown was doing a speaking gig, and it turns out that she ended up having to share a room, which she wasn't expecting, and she had to share a room, and she thought she'd get there quite early, and then be able to choose the bed she was going to stay. But obviously, when she arrived, the person had already, the other person had already arrived. And when she walked in, the woman was basically feet on the chair, eating some kind of sugar coated donut or cake or whatever. And then the woman basically said, "Oh, hang on a minute, I'll clear some space," and then wiped her hands on the chair to clean them. Uh, to Brené Brown's amazement. Um, and essentially she got back and cleared off straight away type of thing, and like as soon as she could, and basically the question that because she has a therapist, and the therapist asked Brené Brown, do you think, because she went through this story of what I've just told you, like just like
Mhm.
fuming, right? And then the therapist said, "Do you think that people are doing the best?" And she says, "Hell no!" Like, of course they're not doing their best. Look at the state of what's going on here. And then she went home and asked her husband, and he said, "Yeah, I think people are after a day or two of basically pondering on it." He said, "I do think they are doing their best." And she said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, because the alternative is not a good thing. Like people are not doing their best." He says, I think we need to think well of people rather than bad of people. And I'd sooner think they were trying their best than not.
Yeah. So, as a teacher, and probably as a student yourself, you have this experience where the teacher, well, in your case, they were saying he always does enough. In my case, I remember myself saying to parents when I had parents' evening, I would say, well, they're not doing their best. They're daydreaming all the time. Well, I wasn't using these kind of words, but that's what I meant. So, quite a few times I remember myself saying this about children. And maybe that's as I was growing as a person. I think that was another reason why I was miserable in this job, because I didn't want to be doing this anymore. I was believing that everybody did their best. And so were the children. They were doing their best. You know, they might want to do more playing than studying, but that still is them doing their best.
Well, it comes down to, look, we're all unique, aren't we? We're all, we're all basically unique. What is someone's best? Let's
And you get a comparison, like
no, but let's compare. Let's just not compare.
Hmm.
Let's look at the question: what is somebody's best? It's doing what they can with the skills, resources, and their ability at any point in time. So if somebody is doing something which is alien to you, like Brenny Brown, person wiping their feet on the chair, shoes on the chair, wiping their hands on the chair. It's not their chair, is it? It's their someone else's chair. Someone else is going to have to clean it and do something with it. Someone else is going to have to sit there on the muddy chair or the sticky chair, right? But what if the person hasn't been brought up in an environment to respect other people's things? It's like, no need to wipe your hand on the chair. Well, it's not your chair, is it? Why are you worried about whether I wipe
Yeah.
my hand on your chair?
And it all comes from the set of values that everybody holds as their guidelines of how to live their life. I tend to I've come up with this new idea of how you process life. If the way you process life is such that you don't care where you wipe your muddy or sticky fingers, then you will be doing exactly what this woman was doing. But if you are brought up to process life where you only wipe your hands after you wash them with soap, and then you have a towel for the wiping, then that's how you process life. So it's not really whether people are doing their best or not. It's the difference in the way they function, the way they process life. And then there's also this other thing. So sometimes people are late for an appointment,
Well,
an important meeting.
that's write that down. That's a whole different
Yeah, but
thing.
that's another one where you're not doing your best. You know, you might be labeled as you're not doing your best. How can you afford yourself to be late? How can you let yourself be late? You're not doing your best. And then whenever, and what I've been, because this is a thing of mine recently, being late in the last few years. I'm always late. I don't know why. Because before that I was always early. So I've asked myself, why is it that I'm late? What is it that is that if people perceive me as I'm not doing my best, what is it that's making me to be as I am? This type of behavior that I'm exhibiting. Am I doing my best at keeping time? And I was thinking about it the other day, and it comes down to some kind of a self-sabotage. So if I am not capable of being on time for the things that matter to me, there's something with my belief sets that maybe I don't value myself enough to be on time for my important things. Or if I'm not writing my essay, so it's a perfectly written, in my eyes, a perfectly written essay, or I'm just doing it however, just so I can tick it off on my list, then is that me not doing my best, or is it me acting from my beliefs of, again, I don't believe I can do better, or I am rubbish at this anyway, so what's the point? So it all comes from what beliefs we hold about ourselves, and then how we function. So this lady who was wiping her fingers and sticky hands onto the chair, she probably believed that, oh, it's beyond, it's below, it doesn't matter, it's below me. I am more important than this chair. I could just wipe my hands there. Or I don't know. It's just hypothesizing. I don't know the lady.
Well, the way it's taken is it's disrespectful of other people's property, and it's
Well, that's
disrespect.
Brene Brown's idea about
No, well,
disrespecting
well,
of other people's
well, I
property.
suspect it's a huge amount of people's opinions, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it is a valid belief that, okay, if you're doing this, you're disrespecting other people's property. But
And
if this chair was meant to be thrown away after a while,
no, but it's in a hotel, so it's not going to be thrown away. And the other thing is it's disrespectful of the other person in the room who is expected to sit on a chair you've defiled. So it's like I'm not passing judgment in either way here. I'm just saying
yeah.
that that's a way of looking at it. And like being late could be a response to, well, you've been early all your life at the school. Now the school's gone, so is the pressures on time. So your evaluation is now, well, now the school's gone, the time's gone as well. It's not like I'm deciding to be late. It's just the thing that kept me on time has been removed. Therefore, I am a bit more flexible about my time now because I'm enjoying not having that pressure on me. So that's another way of looking at the time.
So it's always a belief, some kind of a belief, combination of beliefs and ideas and perceptions that actually make us do what we do. Or they don't make us, but they are the driver behind.
Yeah, I
And
mean, had you asked me at school, like my mum and dad always asked me, like, why is it that you only just doing enough to get by, right? And I think I said, well, what's the point of doing any more,
mm,
right? And they'd say, well, you get better grades, or it's like, well, I'm not interested in better grades. It's like I couldn't tell them because I probably didn't know the answer to the question. But the reality, looking back, is I like doing other things except schoolwork, right? And I just wanted to get the schoolwork done and pass the exam at some level such that it was a tick in the box. Like it wasn't really that important to me. Unfortunately, I was able to sort of cruise through schoolwork, drifting really, not really putting much effort in at all, and come out with grades. And then, and the funny thing is my assessment of this situation was correct, right? Because somebody could have worked their absolute hardest and come out of this school with 9 or 10 or 11 uh, GCSE or GCEs as they were then, and really worked hard and been model student. And their reports said, "Oh, Trevor's working, like Barry's working. He's working really hard. He's great. He's fantastic." And you see mine, it's like Chris is just doing enough to get by, right? And then in an employer looks at you've got 9 O levels, you've got 10 O levels. Okay, it's about the same. So from an employer's perspective, no one ever asked me what the grades were. No one. So Barry's got 10 grade A's. I've got 6 B's, 2 C's and an A. And no one gives a shit. So I've been spending my time at school doing enough, playing table tennis and working on Saturday and having a right old laugh in my life. And poor old Barry's been stuck at the desk all in the evenings, working away like his life depended on it.
and and that's because of that belief set.
Yeah. But
Hmm.
like, I don't like, subconsciously, I because it wasn't the thing I'd said, oh, I'm going to do this, right? It was just kind of what happened, but it didn't just happen, did it? I must have been underneath everything saying, no, forget the maths homework. I'm going to play table tennis,
Mm.
right? Or I took my heavy bag of all my schoolwork with me to table tennis, and it enjoyed the ride and then went home again.
Didn't open it.
Right? So, like, I don't know. It's like, was I doing my best? I think I was doing the best for me. Maybe subconscious. Was I doing the best for the school? I don't know. I have no idea really. But I enjoyed those times. But they weren't like they were all in. They were all the things I did were in alignment with the other things I did. So a
Yeah.
third of my time was at work, a third of my time was table tennis, and a third of my time was schoolwork. It was in proportion in order to create a balanced life that I enjoyed.
Yeah. So in my case, it was, oh, you're not doing your best. Which meant I need to do more. I need to improve myself. So I considered it as or every time that they were telling me how amazing I was, that was another point. Oh, I need to keep this up, and it's difficult. So for me, it was like in a way, a control mechanism that I controlled myself because I didn't want to be seen as something else. I needed to maintain this image because otherwise I thought I might not be loved or something. I don't know. It's
It's an
interesting how
interesting thing, yeah.
the brain gets these things. The ego gets you wrapped up in a system of conditions.
maybe just because of the way your parents were, and they were in your mother anyway was a school teacher. Basically you didn't like the consequences of what might happen if you let your performance slip,
Yeah.
right? Well, that was a view you had, whether you like it or not. That was the view.
That was my view. Yeah.
Yeah, my view was, like, at 12, my parents can't even understand my homework, right? So I'm already doing probably better than they were at school. So I essentially, what they said about my schoolwork for me was irrelevant.
Oh, so you were a bit of a egotistical little child.
Well, I thought, well, like, they can't help me anyway. So that, in fact, I don't even need to tell them what I'm doing. And to be absolutely true, they never asked because they knew they probably wouldn't understand it anyway. So they never even asked. And I never even said. So it just kind of like just drifted until they got on the report. He could do better than he does. It's like, okay. And that was it.
Yeah. So it's always when we become sensitive to that, it's always because we have our own wound somewhere, like a thorn, and we're touching it by when people say, oh, you're not doing your best, or are you doing your best, or there's any time there is a criticism, it means, oh, you can do better. And so we're sensitive to this criticism. Like in your case, you didn't give any notice of it because you didn't have this wound.
I mean,
But I did. So I was noticing it all the time, and I was very careful not to touch it and not to let anybody else touch it. So I was doing all that I could to protect my wounded self.
yeah.
The only way to get out of this is to accept our wounded self and to heal it. So, and I think now this becoming late, going to places late, and always being I know that I need to leave the house at a certain time and it never happens. I'm always late. Even if I go out a little bit earlier, something will happen. The car will be frozen, or there's something will need to be done, or there will be something that pops out and catches my attention that needs to be done then and there. And so I end up being late. And I think this is the opportunity for me to heal this part of me and to stop being perfectionistic in so many ways, that now I need to accept that I can be late and it's okay.
So yeah, I think what's happened. Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say is you're inviting, if you like, you're kind of inviting the criticism And the
Mm.
regularity of that criticism makes it kind of irrelevant that it's criticism, and you forget, you don't even bother with it. If someone says something like, say, if someone says to me, "Oh, you're this or that," I go, "Okay." It's like, that's your opinion, and you don't have all the information, and you don't have any idea who I am. Therefore, I take it with a pinch of salt. Because
Yeah.
if you knew,
Unless you are wounded, like I said, and in that
yeah,
case it touches your wound and it makes you jump. Um, but unless you heal it, like maybe this is what this is all been about. I'm now finding it quite fascinating, this talk that we're having. That maybe that's why I'm constantly being presented with opportunities to be late, so that I can actually see it and notice it. And why am I doing this? Oh, maybe there is some message there for me to learn. Um, and
but
it will
also there's the
stop. I
other,
won't be late anymore
but the other
once
thing.
I've healed that.
No, look. The world doesn't have a clock, does it? Humans have a clock, right? The world doesn't have a clock. The world doesn't care. And nature doesn't go, "Well, hang on a minute, it's 6 o'clock. I better start
Yeah, but
flowering."
it's other people involved with that being late. When I'm saying I'm late, it's because I've got an arrangement with someone, and I don't want to be late for that.
Right. So what you're saying there is like this chair business and having no respect. What basically, and a lot of people will levy this. They'll say, if you're late, basically you're disrespecting the other person.
Exactly. Mm.
Depends on the circumstance. If I'm waiting in the pub and you said you're going to be there at 7 o'clock and you turn up at quarter past, what, like, oh no, the world's falling apart. Right? It's not, is it? I just drunk a bit more of my drink and eaten a bag of crisps. It's like, it's not the end of the world, is it? Right? So like, it depends in the circumstances upon which you are late. If it was someone you're going for an interview, you just wouldn't be late, because there's no point going to the interview late because you're not getting the job. Like, it's like the two things go hand in hand. Like,
Yeah.
if you get there on time, you haven't scuppered your chance of getting a job. If you go late, you basically, you have, really, unless it's a fairly laid back affair. It's like, oh, turn up when you like, kind of thing. So it depends on the circumstances upon which you find yourself as to whether late is an important aspect or not. And okay, yeah, sure, we yeah, like, if you try, then don't bother trying, because try equals I can't, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So but there are situations that you get involved in where you're on time. Like, if you're going for a networking meeting, you're there on time. Like, it's because
It's usually things that are my leisurely things that are for me, I'm doing for myself, that I am kind of late for. And I was thinking about it. Why is it? Maybe it's because I'm not prioritizing myself as much as I would prioritize someone else. If I was to be somewhere special to meet someone, then I would definitely be on time. But if I'm just going for my own leisure experience of a massage and I'm late, and because I get lost on the little lanes here and there and in the back roads.
So write this down, and do write it down, because like yesterday you didn't write it down and you forgot what it was. So, like, letting yourself down, right? This is an
That's the
important
one. We
letting
didn't.
letting yourself down. Right? And what you're describing here is where you feel that you are letting yourself down because you haven't done something that you said you would do. Right. And if it affects other people negatively, if you don't deliver on that, then that's got a higher level of importance to it. So what you're really saying here is, if you're being late impacts others in a negative way, and you know that, and you're late, that goes down badly. If what you're doing is you're late going to the allotment, like, nature's going to forgive you, isn't it? It's like, it's not a big deal, right? Oh no, it was an
Well, nature
hour.
doesn't know what time I was supposed to go there. There is
Yeah,
no
exactly.
supposed. There's no
You're an hour.
supposed.
You're an hour late watering me. Oh no, that's the end of the world.
You're evicted from this place.
Yeah. So like, and this is a really important thing when you start to work for yourself, is that you never ever had to impose those restrictions. The reason you got up in the morning at 7:15 was because if you didn't get up at 7:15, you didn't have breakfast, you didn't get out the door in time, too much traffic, late to work, right? That's just the way it is. But of course, when you remove those instructions, there's no demanding you getting out of bed at 7:15, so you can get out of bed at 8:15. But you've lost an hour of the day there. So now, and it takes a while. I think it takes a while for people to kind of understand what working for yourself means. And it's nothing to do with the thing you're doing, it's to do with how you as an individual respond to the work, to the day. And you start imposing, because no one's there to tell you what to do anymore. You've got to tell yourself what to do. And that's a massive shock. If someone's been telling you what, like people have come out of the army and they can't go to the toilet because like someone used to have to tell them, or in prison, for example, they become systemized. You kind of like in the Shawshank Redemption, he's working for the comes out after 60 years of being in prison, or 50 years of being in prison, and he's working in a shop, and he says, manager to his manager, "Can I go to the toilet?" And the guy says, "Like, this is what 5-year-olds do at school. Can I go to the toilet, miss?" But this is a grown man, and he's asking if he can go to the toilet. And he said, "Well, unless I get permission, I can't go. I can't do a drop unless someone tells me it's okay to do." And it's like, how many? No, that's a big example, but in small examples, we have these limitations on our lives the whole time, don't we? And so when we say, "Do you think that people are doing their best?" I think, like what you would conclude, I think, is that they're not doing what I would do, but then again, they're not me. And when you say, "Well, they're not me," it's like, well, I've not had their life, so that might be their best. With the tools they've got, that might be their best.
Yeah, and it's none of our business to be labeling others and judging them, saying, "Oh, you are not doing your best." How do I know?
Exactly.
If I'm saying that they're not doing their best, how the heck do I know that?
Ooh.
Who am I to know that somebody's not doing their best?
But
I can say for myself, I am not doing my best because I know.
Well, no, but even then, you're doing the best with your knowledge, your understanding of what's going on.
Sometimes I might know that, oh yeah, I can do better. I can get up a little early. Even if I'm a bit tired, I can still get up. I can do a bit better than that. But then I'm choosing not to.
Yeah, but
So
why?
that's it. I'm still doing my best.
But your body feeling tired and not wanting to get up is telling you that's the best for you is to stay.
Yes.
You're overriding your bodies, and is that the best for you?
Is that what meaning doing your best means? Or override your body's needs? Oh, she's very good at overriding her body's needs. Look, she's a role model. That was me, actually. I'm describing me from my teenage years. Oh, she's just amazing. She's doing great.
Yeah, I mean, it's this question. It seems really interesting, really simple. Do you think people? No, they're not doing their best, are they? Because they could do a lot better than that. Well, yeah, but if you were in their predicament, if you were in their life, if you were, could you do different? The answer is I don't know. I really don't know. But they're doing, in the circumstances, we're all doing our best.
Yeah.
It could be someone's just sitting in front of the TV all day, drinking beer, smoking, and eating bags of, like Doritos or something, right? And it's like that might be the best they can manage right now, because in their mind they're completely messed. Who knows? Or they might be depressed or whatever. It's like, some people. I know therapists, but some people actually getting out of bed getting dressed, making a cup of tea, and sitting there drinking it is like
The
a
best.
major achievement.
Mm.
So and then sometimes a person going outside the door is like a massive achievement that they haven't done for 20 years. You know, like, and
We tend to have a set of expectations that go with an age, with a certain age. If you reach this age and if you're a man, you're expected to do such and such, and this is you doing your best. If you're a woman of a certain age, you should have done da 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 da. If you haven't, you're not doing your best. And that's others judging
well,
others, people judging people.
not only you haven't done your best, you know, you're a substandard individual, and with all the connotations of that. And it's, you know, it's a deep question. This, you know, do you think people are doing their best? And they very flippantly, people go, no, I don't think people are doing their best. And when we have a discussion like this, it starts to open your mind to the possibility that, you know, like people who say, oh, the people in government, they're not doing their best. Well, do you think they get up every day and say, right, let's see how I can mess things up today?
They're doing their best for themselves. They're not doing the best for the country, maybe.
But they may think.
But they think they're doing the best for the country.
They may think they are, you know, like, and we can't. Yeah, I know something. They're not going away thinking, getting up every day to think, right, let's see how much misery I can create today. They're not saying that. You know, I'm not. Let me see if I can make all my rich friends even richer, and let me make the poor people more poor so they can live in the.
I think there might be some of those who do that. That's their goal in life. That's what makes them buzz. I want to be more in control of the whole world now. I don't care if they're suffering. I want to me. It's
because
what's important. But that's what they're doing their best. They're doing their best because that's what they know.
Yeah, because they've never ever actually lived in a council flat or a council house or like a squat home or a place where there's no heating. So they can't even put themselves in that place. They can't imagine it. And I think that's what people are saying with, you know, they're detached from society. And I think there's a lot of that. You know, if you've got, you know, Rishi Sunak with 700 odd million, it's like you're so far away from that. These things that aren't even things. They're not even things. Like not having enough for heating. Yeah. It's not even a thing. It's like, what are you talking about?
Why are you bothered about it? Yeah.
It's not even a thing. So it's not on their radar and they're detached. And it's like, I think that's what people are basically talking about is yeah, these people are not representative of the population. But you know, like there's a whole lot of other things on this, but people are not inspired either. They're not inspired to do anything. The society is gradually taking away people's freedoms and stuff, so people are getting into that apathetic stage of what's the point, you know, like every story you hear about is worse, you know, it's Brexit, then it's pandemic, then it's oil shortages, gas prices going up, jobs going down, recession coming, another pandemic on the way, climate change, we're all basically polluting the world with all this driving about we're doing, you know. Well, I don't know who can afford to drive about, but anyway, that's what they're doing allegedly. So, you know, like it's one, yeah, people being pitted against each other. It's just constant. It's not easy. It's not, and I'm not saying this is a simple thing, but it's easy to understand why people are not inspired in this environment, which is another consequence of what's going on, you know, and whether people are choosing to effect this change on society or whether it's just a consequence of other things. Cause and effect, I don't know, but it's definitely, you know, we're definitely in some, you know, like, I don't know, the prospect of what's coming versus kind of where we've come from, although there are lots of problems with where we come from, at least there was a chance for people to choose what they wanted to do and get on with it. I don't know whether that's quite the same now, but it's certainly different. And I don't want to become my dad and say things were better in the past. Like I think there's a I'm very aware of these things. So I'm quite excited for the next generation, like my grandchildren, for their brains and for their responses to the environment they're in, and to see what they can come up with. I'm very excited to see that, because if we come up with the same old stuff that we came up with before, would be a right old problem. But by the same token, we should keep some of these old things alive, like cooking and actually being able to recognize vegetables and stuff like that.
Well, we are a part of nature, so we need to stay with it. We can't separate ourselves from nature and expect to be surviving and surviving. We can survive, but we're not going to be thriving for sure if we separate ourselves too far from nature. Well, on that note, we didn't answer the question, do we believe people do their best? Because did we answer it? Actually, we did answer it. We said yes, they are doing their best, but do others believe they are? Probably not.
Well, if they'd watched this podcast, and if they started to ask deeper questions about themselves and how they respond, and then maybe they would see that they're not really in a position to say no, but maybe in a position to learn how yes is the answer.
And to become less judgmental of others and more accepting of them, because that means we are not judging ourselves and we are accepting ourselves as well. And that's where growth happens, and that's how we become better people, happier, and that's how we become better
versions of ourselves.
That was what I was looking for. Thank you, Chris. So if you have any comments, if we missed something, or if you have an alternative viewpoint, as always, we would like to read your comments. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you liked this video, you can most certainly share it. Please do so and spread the word. Let's make more people start question whether they believe they're doing their best and whether they are considering whether others are doing their best. So that was this topic. Tomorrow maybe we talk about, what was it? I wrote it down, letting yourself down. We'll see. Till then, bye.
Bye now.